Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakwadash. Double lines to the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace, salutation, like Akim in the four corners, percent truth, sincerity. Peace be unto you, and Shalom.
This is uh about salvation. Salvation, what it is, who it's for, and when is it gonna happen? So, without further ado, Luke chapter 1, and I believe it starts at 69. A lot of people think that they are already saved, and you could not be further from the truth. Yep. I'll start with a little up, a verse up. Luke chapter 1, verse 68. Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Israel. I'll start that over. Blessed be Yahweh Elohim of Yasharallah, for he have visited and redeemed his people. So it says Israel. Israel consists of the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad. There's no such thing as being uh, a spiritual Israel and, physical Israel. There's no such thing. And so now it says redeem this people because, in a sense, the northern tribe were being saved because they were going back to Hosea chapter 1. They were cast, ye are not my people. So they're basically brought back into that fold. But the ultimate redemption and salvation is yet to come. Verse 29 and hath raised up a horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Verse 71 that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. We shall be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. Now, this was written and said before Psalms, the 83rd chapter, which reads, keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. Wait. Did I say this was written before Psalms was written, or did I say it was written before this prophecy was fulfilled? But I meant to say that those words in Luke were written before the fulfillment of Psalms chapter 83. I'm not sure exactly what I said or how I worded it, but to be perfect, that's what's going on. Without further ado, I'll start from the top. Keep not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Hmm. That sounds, you know, that sounds like enemies and hate, just like Luke chapter 1 and 71. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Whoa, so crafty counsel. against thy people. Who are his people? Israel. And have consulted against thy hidden ones. We were fled into the wilderness for a time. When we fled in 70 AD, we were, you know, ducked out, hiding out. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So this happened, the fulfillment of this happened after Luke chapter 1 and 71. So we aren't saved. Our enemies came up against us. That's not salvation. What is this talking about? All nations came up against us. You have the fulfillment of Deuteronomy 28, verse 68, where literally the other nations, and also not just 28, but the whole chapter. But our enemies came up against us, specifically Esau, a nation from afar, a nation whom thy fathers have not known, came up against us, took us on cargo slave ships to serve slavery in Egypt, and to be the fulfillment of Deuteronomy verse 28, verse 68. That doesn't sound like salvation to me, because once we get salvation, there will be, there ain't no more captivity. So the redemption and the salvation has yet to come. Right now, we're still being harmed by our enemies. Right now, you got Brittany Griner over there, serving time in Russia. That's modern day slavery, what she's going through. All they did is just transport her by a train. That's different. They have said, come, verse 4, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes. So just to name a few. They have consulted together. They was like, let's get rid of the Israelites. When have other nations ever come together to do anything? Well, they came together to put us away. And what's funny is once we get in power, we gonna remember all that. And they're gonna be wishing for us to be back. But a lot of them are already wishing for us to be in power, because they see how much of a devil this devil is, and he's basically deceived the whole world. But if you keep reading on, this is all the nations that had something to do with our downfall. Going back over here in Luke, it says, reading 71 again, Luke 1 and 71, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us. So does can we still be persecuted and slaughtered and killed by those that hate us? Yes. That's not salvation. That's not salvation. This is what is that? Ezekiel chapter 9, I believe. Head over there. Haven't went to that chapter and haven't heard that brought out in quite some time. Yep, this is Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 1. He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. So this is talking about Israel in today's time. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate. These 6 men are angels, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side. And they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. That man with the white linen, with the writer's inkhorn, is Yahushai. And the glory of God, of the God of Israel, was gone up from the cherubim whereupon he was. Because, Solomon was anointed with oil with uh, basically like a ram's horn. So this says he has with a writer's inkhorn by his side. So he's basically getting ready to anoint certain people for salvation. Verse 3, and the glory of God of Israel was gone up from the cherubim whereupon he was to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry, for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So, turmoil is going, hate is going. So, we're about ready to save them. Remember how, because he's going through the threshold of the house. We're that house. Heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. What house can you build me? We're that house. Remember how we came out of Israel? How he came out of Egypt, and we had to put blood on the doorposts of the house. Well, guess what? He's marking the houses, which are all of Israel, who was slated to be given salvation, and the angel would pass through. So now the angels is marking like a checklist, kind of like how you put like one of those I forgot what they call it, but like a thing around your wrist, like when you go to the hospital, identify who you are, what you there for, and stuff like that. So put a mark on their forehead. Now, don't be carnal. This ain't no angel ain't physically walking around like putting a Ash Wednesday mark upon your forehead. This is spiritual mark. Reading on with verse 4. And set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. So remember the judgments beginning at the house of Israel, 1 Peter 4:17. I think that was my last video. You're going to do a lot of killing, because they aren't saved, they aren't set up for salvation. The angel is laying hands on whoever. Now, there's some people that's going to have that mark that still are going to be killed through being beheaded. But right now, the angel is bypassing everybody, all of Israel, that has that the writer's inkhorn, ink on their forehead. Slay, utterly old and young. Old and young, yeah. Why not? So, reading on, and that goes to show that every young is not going to get slain. So that goes to show there's going to be some young babies that are going to have that mark on their forehead. Scripture talks about, you and your house can be saved. You're going to have some people that they whole entire house is going to be saved. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children. The women, yes, the women got to die too. Some of the biggest slut buckets out here. And little children and women. But come not near any man whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men, which were before the house. So, as we started at a sanctuary, the sanctuary is Israel. So now this ain't even happened yet. So we are not saved yet. Verse 7, and he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain, and go ye forth. And they went forth and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, And I was left, that I fell upon my face and cried and said, Ah, Yahweh Elohim, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? He asked, he was like, show some mercy. Like, damn, are you killing everybody? Right, because Israel is so damn wicked. That's what Ezekiel gets to see. He's seeing the slaughter of his people. Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness. For they say Yahweh hath forsaken the earth, and Yahweh seeth not. So he's saying, hey, chill, Ezekiel. Hey, we know what we're doing. You know, Israel's wicked. We got to go through this ethnic cleansing. Verse 10, and as for me also, mine eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. Ezekiel said, man, you know what? Fuck it, man. Man, fuck Israel, man. He had that moment. He like, hey, man, come on. And he started thinking about it like, damn, man, yeah, fuck these niggas. Yeah, because Israel has got to go. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. And so now, part of getting through salvation, we got to go through that. You getting killed, now the angels aren't your enemies, but in a sense, they're your enemy at that time. you know, you know, still righteous, but they're going against you. They're committing acts of evil. Yahweh willing, us that are listening and putting our best foot forward are not part of that number, but you got those who are going to be saved. And we're going to be saved with an everlasting salvation. Not we're going to be saved for a little bit, then we get messed up by our enemies, and then we get back on the good terms, then we get slayed again. No, an everlasting salvation. So with this is Ephesians 4 and verse 30. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. You're sealed unto the day of redemption. The day. There's going to be a specific day. When what's that? Revelations chapter 11, and what I believe that is 4. Wait, no. 11 and 13. Wait, no, not 11 and 13. Salakia. I know it's here in 11. 11 and 12. I'll read it. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to the heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So there was a specific day getting beamed up into those so-called UFOs, those chariots. Because this earth that we're on here in Babylon is slated for fire. We're going to have to be saved out, and we're not about to be, running. I know I damn sure ain't about to be running. I'm that's not happening. To the edge of the shores of America, then swimming away. That's not happening, because then we'll be saving ourselves. So we will be saved, in that on a specific day. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 30. That's the day of our redemption when we beamed up out of here. So that's what salvation is, being saved from our enemies whenever and all this destruction that's going on, that everlasting salvation where we get those new bodies. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 50. Flesh and blood shall not enter into the kingdom, but I tell you a secret, we shall not all sleep. Roughly paraphrasing. So we're going to get those new bodies. On that note, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders GMS Ruel. These salutations and Shalom.